actually pitting these rival factions against one another, thus increasing instability between the southern factions. When faced against the north, a more unified north, the disorganized south will have trouble rising up and combating the north, thereby making independence very difficult. Further, Al Jazeera goes on to note that recently President Harad had proposed a plan that divided Yemen into 6 regions and gave each region their autonomy. Although this was rejected, it created defectors from the south, thus weakening the southern movement, making independence difficult in South Yemen. But let's look at the second reason why the south will have difficulty creating independence, and that's the strength of the Houthi rebel group. The Houthi rebel group is a rebel group located in Yemen that is predominantly Shia. In fact, they're growing in strength. The Economist notes on September 27, 2014, that the Houthi have taken over the capital city of Sana'a, and President Harad has given them government representation and appointment in cabinet. Because now they're so ingrained in the Yemeni government, you can see that we've taken a break from the traditional government of Yemen to something new. That's why the South Yemeni people actually support the Houthi government more than the previous government, indicating that maybe now the focus is not to create an independent state, but rather to work with the Houthi group to achieve their motives. In fact, the Wilson Center indicates on January 9th, 2015, that Iran is actually backing the Houthi group because of their similar ideology of the Shia religion, indicating that the Houthi group will stay in power in the Yemeni government for time to come. Because this group is preferential to the current government in Yemen, it indicates that the southern Yemenis will not look to gain an independent state, but rather work with the Houthi government. But let's look at our third reason why South Yemen will be unsuccessful in gaining their independence, and that's the financial strength of the north. According to every year the Yemen gets U.S. aid. According to the U.S. Department of State in August 4th, 2014, every year $185 million is sent to Yemen for economic motives and $30 million for social welfare. In fact, if you look at the Al Jazeera article previously cited, Yemen is ripe with corruption, indicating that this money may not actually go to economic reform and social welfare, but rather to perpetuate the North's goals and to decrease the strength of southern Yemen, indicating that the U.S. aid is actually making southern Yemen less likely to gain its more independence. Further, the Al Jazeera article goes on to note that South Yemen is actually quite financially significant to the north, making the north unlikely to allow independence. In fact, 60% of the revenue of Yemen comes from the hydrocarbon located in South Yemen, and this hydrocarbon is 90% of Yemen's export revenue. Because South Yemen is such a vital financial area for the North has repressed these protests that the South Yemenis have put out and has violently repressed them and has restricted media. Because of the restriction of media and the violent suppression of protests because of the financially key region, it makes it less likely for South Yemen to rise up and secede from the North. Therefore, we should look to what Socrates said, in that to change, we should less focus on fighting the old, but rather on building the new. In the case of South Yemen should be less focused on fighting their old motive of old conflict with the North, but creating strategies with the Houthi rebel group to get their problems across. Therefore, at the end of the day, the South Yemen will be unsuccessful in gaining independence because of the lack of organization, the strength of the Houthi rebel group, and financial motives.
Thank you. Okay, stand back a little bit further. Thank you. Okay, I believe we're here. Rhonda Barrett. Hi, Rana.
Shireen, something positive about your speech is that you didn't use a note card and you really knew your stuff. Like, you were just spewing out facts and you're like, I know what I'm talking about, so you guys better listen to me. And I think that gave you some authority regarding the subject.
You have her credibility, didn't
Yeah.
you? She had a great deal of credibility. Improvement?
I'm Celestine.
Celestine.
I would suggest that maybe, I thought it was all really great. It was really powerful and strong, but if you switch up sometimes like the inflections and like the like pace and everything, it might help us like concentrate more.
Yeah, let's start with that. Shireen, you have a very commanding presence. You're comfortable in your skin. You would make a good member of the UCLA debate team. But you went up at a certain level and you held it all the way through. And as Celestine suggested, it lost a little of its effectiveness when you don't have a contrast. Softer, slower, faster, softer, you know. And so make it interesting and break it up a little bit. This was, you started and ended with Socrates. You can never go wrong with him or Plato or Aristotle. You know, those people have just, you know, built-in credibility, and they usually have pretty decent things to say. And this was true in this case here. I think that you drew a topic that was almost an economic topic, because Yemen is way out there, way over there, and so you had a tough one, I thought, to make relevant, and yet you did. You made it interesting to listen to, and you made it interesting. You talked about, you know, the busiest oil port and oil prices and stuff like that. So you did try to make it significant. So that was good. On your pattern of organization, I like your quotes and the dates and your analysis that fell behind them, and that was good. I liked the way you talked about the president pitting the rival factions against each other. That was excellent. My only suggestion is down when you got toward the bottom, I would have liked to have had more of a, so what have we seen? I've given you 3 reasons why. In summary, I've given you 3 reasons why this is not going to work, this is not going to succeed, you know. And in conclusion, it's really not going to work. And so as Socrates said, you know, your goals were to not stutter, to be fluent, and not be embarrassed by your posture. Tell me about that. What's up with your posture?
Oh, I have scoliosis, so like I naturally.
What's that mean? You have
it's a curvature of the spine. So like naturally I'm like this. So, but like when I speak, I should be like this. So,
I see.
yes.
Well, I didn't really notice so much that, so that was good. You want to stay habit of the staying in the power stance, feet a little wider apart, so you're like a tripod. So you did a really fine job. It shows that you practiced a lot and you had a command of the facts here. And that really enhanced your credibility, and so that really worked. Thank you. Okay, we have time for one more. Don't all volunteer at once. Yeah, this guy right here is looking at me like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to do it today. Yeah. Okay, no more. Anybody else getting up the courage? See, Shireen just did it. Yeah, see, that's a piece of cake. All right, let me call on somebody. Do we have? Yeah, we have time. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I can just go.
Praise the Lord. Let's hear it for her. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, this is the wrong sheet.
Okay, so Sam, you see what you need next time? A card or no card, an outline for me.
Sorry. Yes, sir. I'm
So you said-
prepared, but
I thought we said it here, but I forgot to do it in here.
Oh, good. Ooh, excellent. Look, she's got 6 sources in her bibliography. Impressive. Very good. Let's see if she cites them. More in the center of the room, please. Thank you. Okay. She's standing before you, managing attention, communicating respect, non-verbally, saying to herself, I respect you. To her audience, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love.
Hi, I'm Nina Cho.
Hi, Nina.
So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not a huge political person. I don't really know a lot about the economy. So I'm going to just kind of go back to what I know, right? So I love Amazon. Amazon.com is one of my most frequented sites. I go there, I order things like Ziploc bags, I order lotion, I order phone cases, textbooks, you name it, right? It brings me convenience and it brings me cheap prices. Like, what can I complain about, right? And if I go a step further, to be honest with you, I voluntarily pay $49.99 a year just so that I can get free shipping and just so that I can get it faster. So I'm spending more money just to buy these things on this online retailer. But the thing is, I was looking at Amazon as a whole, and I had to question whether or not Amazon is guilty of unfair business practices. All right, so why does this matter? It matters for so many different reasons, but let me tell you guys why it's important, okay? So Amazon, I think, in my opinion, I can tell you today that Amazon is guilty of unfair business practices. And there's a couple different reasons why. The first one is we'll look at the way that Amazon treats its employees, especially their warehouse employees and the conditions that they put them under. The second reason we're going to look at today is going to be how Amazon bullies smaller independent merchants and small businesses to have the upper hand. They're a big company and they kind of make the most out of it. The third reason that we're going to look at is the fact that they are in a position where they are using unfair billing practices to cost consumers millions of dollars without them knowing. All right. So why is this important? Why does it affect all of you guys? The first thing is you guys are college students. I bet you at one point or another you've ordered at least a textbook or anything else that you need in life from Amazon. Another thing is, if you look at the reasons why I think Amazon is guilty of unfair business practices, you'll see that it affects a big range of people. Whether that be the consumer, which is you, whether that be employees of Amazon, which you could potentially be one day, or whether you're just a small independent business owner, or if you work for a company that's a competitor of Amazon. So in all these three instances, you're a person that's affected by Amazon and the unfair business practices that they are employing. So the first reason that I'm going to talk about and why Amazon is using unfair business practices is the way that they treat their workers. Okay, so cited in an MCall by Spencer Soper in 2011, in the month of September, he cites that there were about 100 employees that were facing these conditions in their warehouses where temperatures rose to over 100 degrees, they were fainting. And Amazon was prepared for this, and you can tell because they had ambulances parked outside to treat these people who would basically faint from the hot weathers and conditions that they were faced with. So if you think about that, Amazon makes so much money, but they're putting these employees in a situation where not only are they facing these extreme hot conditions, but they're also in a situation where they're being forced and harassed to being working mandatory overtime hours, which isn't fair to the common working man. And also, they're always in threat of being fired from their jobs. There's been numerous citations of where employees are reporting that they were threatened that their jobs would be lost based on their work performance if they weren't producing shipments fast enough. The second reason why I think Amazon is guilty of unfair business practices is the fact that they're bullying smaller businesses. There's competitors that are not as big as Amazon that don't have the reach of Amazon. So if I can kind of equate to you why Amazon is so important and how big it actually is, I'll cite the California business litigation. There was an article by Rolly Williams in December of 2014 where he says that even if you just look at book sales, right, 75% of textbook sales are sold through Amazon. 61% of ebook purchases go through Amazon. If you look at those numbers, they're staggering. They're so big, right? So if you're a smaller company, if you're a smaller bookstore, let's say, you don't really stand a chance against this company. But here's the thing that's the kicker. Amazon actually lowers the prices of these books so that it's competitive and that people like you and me will want to buy these books. But this is where it affects the authors authors and the publishers. Because they're lowering the prices, the cut that these authors and publishers are getting are extremely lowered. What that means is they're basically not making enough money to make their livelihood. What that means is that they don't have any choice but to sell on Amazon, right? The numbers that I quoted to you before, if you're losing out on 75% of the textbook market or 61% of the ebook market, you don't really have a leg to stand on. You have to go back to Amazon because, frankly, how else are you going to get your books sold? In this way, Amazon is bullying these smaller companies into forcing them to sell on their site, right? And they're kind of backed into a corner to do so. The third reason why I'm going to talk about why Amazon is utilizing unfair business practices is their in-app purchases and the discrepancies that have happened in the last couple of years. So according to the Huffington Post article by Nathan Newman in March of 2011, there were millions and millions of dollars spent by unknowing consumers because their kids would basically log into their Amazon accounts on all these apps and they'd purchase all these things, right? But there's no password required. There was no information saying that you were being charged this amount. So what would happen is these kids would go on, they would buy one thing and another, and their parents would have no idea. So ultimately what would happen is their parents' bills would reflect all these purchases that were made unbeknownst to them. And so in this, there's been so much litigation fighting Amazon by the Federal Trade Commission that it's been brought into court. Amazon tried to appeal it, and the judge denied it, and it's currently still in court and being fought out. But the thing is, Amazon isn't explicitly telling all their consumers, hey, this is something that you need to address, this is something that you need to be aware of. And in that, they're not trying to rectify it. Because while there's been software updates, they haven't made it in a way where it solves the problem. And it's obviously a problem that's known to them because it's already in court. So in summary, there's three big reasons why Amazon is practicing unfair business tactics. Right? The first one being in the way that it treats its workers and the unfair treatment that they're getting. The second being the way that they're bullying smaller businesses so that they really don't have an option but to work with Amazon. And the third being their unfair and truthfully, their untruthful ways of having consumers spend money on their in-app purchases. So in conclusion, I don't think you should have any doubt that Amazon isn't the big friendly company that I wanted to believe in. Here I am standing in front of you saying, hey, I buy my Ziploc bags from Amazon. I buy my shampoo from Amazon. I spend $49.99 a year so that I can get free shipping and I can get it faster. But I want to ask you, what am I supporting and what are you guys supporting? Thank you.
Thank you. 644. We're here.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Miriam.
Hi Miriam.
What I really liked about your presentation was that you had a very clear outline and you followed through with it. And that was really good because it made it very concise for me to understand what you're saying. And then the second part was your tone. Like I like the fact that it was informal and it made it very interesting to follow up with you.
Yeah. But she had all 7 parts to the outline, didn't she? And
yeah.
She had cited her sources so we knew where her sources came from, so that gave her some more credibility. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
I thought you did a great job. I'm going to start with one positive just because I loved it so much. You had so much objectivity because you started with saying, I'm the first one to admit that Amazon is great. So I felt like it gave you a lot of credibility and objectivity that you were willing to stand up for your belief in your morals and stuff. But just to improve, I think you had a great conversationality. Like it was very comfortable, but just when you're hitting your main points of emphasis, maybe because you were kind of even throughout, which was great, you looked super comfortable, but just hit your main points with a little more emphasis, maybe.
That's a good point. You want to pick up the tone, the pace for your climax of your, stealing from children, was good. I liked your story that you started with. It was endearing, and you tied back to it, and it caused you to wonder, what am I doing supporting this? Well, you're saving money is what you're doing, and getting convenience, which is why lots of people go to Walmart, too, because they're cheap, and they save money. I loved your significant statement, thought it was good. On your first main body about they're guilty about the way they treat their employees. All of that wasn't really documented. You didn't really give me citations for the ambulances and all that. That was just sort of Mina talking, and I would have liked to have had some source citations for that, because that went on quite a while without a citation. The children was good. That was excellent. The authors, I know. I've heard them on USC's radio station that I listened to on the way home. They're complaining about Amazon's taking the profit from the authors. So I've heard that before. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back yourself is good. You said, don't talk too fast, make good eye contact, and repeat the question throughout the speech. How did it go?
I think I did okay. I actually didn't practice as many. I only practiced like once or twice.
Yeah.
So I wish for the future, like I would practice a little bit more.
Yeah, but you did practice enough to really be fluent, and you hardly needed your notes, and so that was excellent. And you didn't talk too fast. I would have just liked you to have repeated the question in the beginning for emphasis. Remember to everyone mark that on your little card, so you remember to do that, so we're real clear in the beginning what question you're addressing. Other than that, you did a very fine job. Thank you, and thank you for volunteering. Okay, our work is done for the day. Remember to meet at Powell Library next time.
Will that be all the 2 hours, or will we do anything?
Yes, we might do some speeches, so bring your speeches ready to do them.
Like at the front of the house, I think there's like a public lab. And so
Okay, perfect. So the last one, is there like a timeline that we just need to
Read it. Read it as quickly as you can.
Okay, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the right book? The new edition?
Professor, I had sent you an email saying I would like to meet you in the office.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, I answered you. I said I have a 4 o'clock appointment, but I didn't know how long you needed. But we could meet right now. That's okay with you.
Yes. So basically, what I wanted to do was go through the syllabus and ask you if I can choose topics and how I can go on organizing about. So in the finals we have a paper and where we have 3 speeches. That's the final.
Yeah.
The midterm we have a paper.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So how is that paper going to be organized, and how long do you need it? And
20 pages.
20 pages.
Yeah.
And the final is 20 pages also.
No, 12.
Final is 12 and the midterm is 20 pages. And in the 20 pages, what things are you looking at?
You'll see when I give it out. It's short paragraph answers.
Short paragraph answers.
Yeah, to the questions in the book.
Oh, to the questions in the book.
Yeah, it's theory and practice.
Okay. All right.
It's a piece of cake.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
I don't know about
Don't be anxious.
Yeah, I am organized. And for the second for our second speech, it is going to be domestic.
Yeah, I'll be domestic.
You're on it. I was like,
I want to work on it.
You were the one that
Yeah, I meant to say, those of you that went today, you can start choosing a new topic.
We had so much going on. I was like, oh,
pick it, or do we?
No, you come to me right now and go to the sign-up sheet. You want to sign up? Yeah.
oh, you sign up now?
Yeah. There you go.
Yes, can I do that, please? I was just wondering with the midterm, I just want to like kind of clear it up because on the schedule, it has 2 dates where it says midterm bolded. So I wasn't sure, is it a take-home midterm or is it on one of those days?
Take-home midterm.
Oh, it's a take-home. So you'll give it to us the first week,
Yeah.
and then the second time it's due.
Bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I'm looking for about 20 pages.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You wonder, that's an A paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's for the midterm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What is your ideal time range? Is it between 5 and 7 minutes, or what
No,
should we
it's
shoot
6 6:45.
6:45 is what we should be. Okay.
7. Yeah, 6:45.
And when you hold up your fingers, that means 5 minutes left.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. And what do we need to bring in for next time? Should we fill out that self-evaluation? We should watch our YouTube
Self-evaluation,
videos
yeah.
and bring in a self-eval for you
Yeah, that I gave you on the
in the
syllabus.
packet. Okay.
Packet.
Great. Did you have any more copies of those rosters?
Yeah.
I think I was standing up at the front. Thank you.
David, too.
Thank you.
I would like to sign up for the first one. Will Tea Party members?
Well, there's the sign up over there. So get in line.
I have a question.
Oh, we could already sign up for a second speech. Or should we?
Well, technically not until you've done your first speech. Have you signed up for your first speech? Yeah. Is there a class in here now?
I wasn't able to. I didn't make it to last class, so like I need to work.
Yeah, you need to sign up. There's a sign up.
It was a economic for.
What are the second Extemp speeches? What are they do? Is it just